Jaya Radha Madhava Jai Gunja Bihari Jai Gochana Vallabha Jai Girivardhari Jai Girivardhari Sodanandana Pratitana Ranjanaya Sodanandana Pratitana Ranjanaya Manatira Vanachari Manatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Gunja Bihari Uddhava Gita 21.38-41 Taptayam Punadaba Prakyan Sanka Chakra Kanambuya Klasakatur Bhuyan Santam Panma Kinya Kavasasam Spurat Kirita Kata Kati Sutra Varan Gadam Srivatsa Vaksam Prajat Kaustupam Vanamalimam Dvayanana Pakandaruni Havi Sargintani Cha Prayasyaya Bhagav Agarau Tatvakaya Plutam Havibu Yuhuya Mula Mantrena Sodarsakana Vadanata Dharmadya Yataniyayam Mantra Svistikirtam Buddha. The intelligence devotees should thereafter meditate on the form of the Lord, whose complex is in the color of molten gold, whose forearms are decorated with the conch shell, disc club and lotus flower, whose appearance is peaceful, and who is dressed in the garments of color of filaments within the lotus flower. His helmet, bracelet, belt and ornaments decorating his arms shine brilliantly. The symbol of Srivatsa is on his chest along with the Kaustuva gem and garland of forest flowers. Thereafter, the devotee should worship me by taking firewood soaked in ghee and placing it in the sacrificial fire. He should then offer the oblations into the sacrificial fire. Various items soaked in ghee. He should then offer oblations to 16 demigods, beginning with Yamaraj, while reciting the mantras of each deity and the 16th-line Purusha Sukta hymn, ending each line with the Swaha. By pouring one oblation after each line of the Purusha Sukta, he should utter the particular mantra naming each deity. So worshipping the form of the Supreme, one cannot just imagine or create some own perception. God is person, God exists, and those who see the God, they can describe the Supreme, the form of the Supreme. So on impersonal path, where people say that God cannot be described, but language is coming from the Supreme, and language should be used for glorification of the Supreme. Sometimes people say that words cannot reach the Supreme, but words also coming from the Supreme. And thus, words should be used describing the Supreme and glorifying the Supreme. And those who see the God, they can describe the form of the Supreme. And the scriptures give us perception how supreme, how the Paramatma is looking, how he is seen, and that's how one should meditate the Paramatma instead of creating some own version, some imaginative version of the Supreme. One should worship the Supreme, and then one should offer oblations and sacrifice different things on this sacrifice of fire, who is representing the Supreme. One should offer articles to the Supreme through the fire element, which is representing the Supreme. And then one should offer also offer respect to the demigods and Guru Tattva, which means that God never comes alone. God comes with his devotees, his servants. Sri Radhishyam.